Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Michael Newman.
I'm Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
Quarterback rankings week continues. Be sure to subscribe to the channel because we're going to have the rest of the conferences coming throughout the next few days. But today we are covering the Big 12, and these are my rankings. So in the comments, be very kind and tell me what a great job I did, please. But Trey, tee me up on my number 10.
Number 10. There's going to be 14 of these guys next year we're going to have to do.
That's right.
Number 10 is Hunter Dekkers, Iowa State.
Yeah, he's a former four-star recruit entering his third year, so the potential is there, and Matt Campbell generally does a decent job of developing quarterbacks. So this is not like a 10th where this guy sucks, he's last. There's no quarterback situation that's bad in the Big 12, but just because he's still a huge unknown and most of the players ahead of him have at least shown something, that's why he's 10th.
Yeah, interesting not to see Kansas at 10th in anything in football. So props to this next fellow at number 9 is Jalon Daniels from Kansas.
Yeah, he's favored to get the job over Jason Bean. He played 4 games at the end of last year, played really well, of course, helped lead them to that big win over Texas. And I guess I just need a larger sample size before I move him a bit higher ahead of some of the guys we have coming up. But if he can keep up the efficiency he had last year over a full season, especially when you consider the fact I'm having to adjust for the situation. He's playing with a supporting cast that is not great, and his numbers were good. So wouldn't surprise me if he's able to move up. But being a little conservative for now with a small sample.
Moving on to a guy with a large sample size, and you kind of thought after this amount of time he'd be a little higher. Number 8, Spencer Sanders, Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I think this one is, when I talked about the commenters earlier, I think this one is going to stand out to some people. I think some people might want to have him, 4, maybe even 5 slots higher. And to be honest, I really struggled with 8th on this list to 3rd or 4th. There just was not much separating them. So even if you do have him 4th, I wouldn't really disagree with you that much. I think it's kind of slim margins. But, Sanders is really talented. He's put up decent numbers in his career, but really hasn't improved since his freshman year, has a high interception rate. And I just thought each of the guys ahead of him, we've seen so much of Sanders, and it just hasn't, their offense hasn't been nearly as good as, Oklahoma State's offense of the past have been. And I think his inconsistency is a part of that. So, maybe he'll finally make the leap, but like I said, with having seen him so much, it's hard to project that. And
with a good defense the past couple of years, you thought maybe he wouldn't have as much as responsibility on his shoulders to put up some, at least more efficient numbers. Just hasn't happened. Moving on to number 7, we have a guy who was a Heisman contender, well, at least a dark horse one a few years back, and he's fallen off. But we have it's the Nebraska transfer, Adrian Martinez, going to Kansas State at number 7.
Pretty similar to Spencer Sanders, I would say. Both very talented, both good runners, but too many turnovers and mistakes. But I feel like watching Adrian the last few years, I've always felt like he's pretty good. It's just that maybe the supporting cast around him hasn't been the greatest, the receivers or the offensive line protecting him. So I think a change of scenery, going to K-State, being paired with
Deuce Vaughn.
Keyshawn Vaughn was all that was coming to my brain. Being paired with Deuce Vaughn will help him out, and I think he's not going to be asked to carry the team as much. I think they're just they don't ask quite as much from their quarterbacks.
I think that's fair.
Totally fair there.
Martinez had some tough responsibilities there at Nebraska.
Number 6, Blake Shapen of Baylor.
So he played really well in 3 games last year as a redshirt freshman, including winning the Big 12 championship against a really good Oklahoma State defense. And he was named the starter this spring over Gary Bohannon, which Gary Bohannon had a solid year last year. So the fact that they named the starter that early, I think, says something about what they think about Shapen. So there's potential for him to vault higher on this list. I could see an argument for 3rd or 4th, but again, it was only 3 or 4 games. So I'm waiting to see more.
Yeah, that's true. But I think it was a good call for them to just to get to go with Shapen here. He finished real well. All right, let's move on to number 5. We have some new blood. Donovan Smith, Texas Tech.
Yeah, this one is a pretty close battle with Tyler Shuck, because I think Tyler Shuck could be potentially a better fit for new offensive coordinator Zach Kitley's offense. So I don't feel too strongly about picking the starter here. But also, I guess the redshirt freshman Baron Morton is apparently in the battle as well. But last year on the field, Smith and Shuck both put up efficient numbers. I worry a little bit about the talent around them and specifically the offensive line coming into the year. But this having him fifth is just me betting that one of them will emerge as pretty good, and also just a bet on Zach Kitley and his development of quarterbacks, because what he did with Zappy at Western Kentucky was unbelievable. So if he can even do half as good a job at Texas Tech, then I think the quarterback play will be really good.
Agreed there. Should be fun to watch him. Number 4, Max Duggan, TCU.
Yep, and Chandler Morris is also in the quarterback battle because you've got a new head coach, Sonny Dykes, coming in, so never know who he's going to prefer. I don't know. I don't feel great looking at my list having Duggan this high. I kept rearranging, like I said, this 4 through 8. Just always sort of had a problem, but Duggan is landed here just because he's gotten better every single year, so you keep seeing that improvement. Maybe that could happen again going into next year. He was very efficient in 2021, and I think Dykes is a great developer of quarterbacks, so this is also kind of a bet on him and all the production they have coming back. So I just think whoever ends up the starter for TCU is going to put up big numbers.
Yeah, I like Duggan. I'm with you on it. I think he's going to do pretty well with Sonny Dykes. But moving on to number 3 on our list, we have a transfer coming into West Virginia, JT Daniels.
Yeah, coming over from Georgia. He's tough to rank. His numbers at Georgia were really good. Like overall, when he played, he was efficient, put up good numbers. So, and of course, he's a former 5-star recruit. So that's sort of ticks in the positive box, but he's injury prone. He got beat out by Stetson Bennett, and he's now entering what has been at least a questionable offense. Maybe new offensive coordinator Graham Harrell will improve that. We'll see. But yeah, I was kind of weighing those, and ultimately I kind of just focused on his talent and his ability and tried to rate him in a vacuum rather than the situation he's going to be in. And I don't know. I liked what I saw from him at Georgia. He seemed to have taken a big step from his true freshman year at USC.
Yep. All right. Number 2, speaking of freshmen that you mentioned, number 2 is Quinn Ewers of Texas.
Yep. After making a little bit of money at Ohio State, he's back in Austin, and he's, of course, the favorite over Hudson Card. I'm sure some listeners and viewers are probably questioning how I have him number 2 when earlier in this episode I was talking about players who I'm like, yeah, I just haven't seen quite enough from them, so I'm not having this high. Yeah. So, and Ewers has not thrown a college pass, but he's like one of the highest rated quarterback prospects ever. So my priors for him are just, a bit higher than just your average quarterback. Plus he's going to have a very good coach, Sark. He's going to have great skill talent around him to help him develop. And the guys ranked behind him, like other than the guy I have number 1, there's no one in the Big 12 where I'm like, yes, that is a really good quarterback for sure. Not a lot of flaws. It's just, if this was the ACC, I don't think Quinn Ewers would be second. He'd be lower. But in the Big 12, I don't know. I just didn't feel good enough about anyone else to put them ahead of Ewers.
Yeah, I mean Texas QBs put up good numbers last year, really overall. Yeah. So you think they'd be even better this year with Ewers and even better skill talent. So yeah, I got no problem with him at 2. I'd have no problem with him at 1, but. At number 1, you have another transfer, so that's 3 straight transfers, I guess, here. Dillon Gabriel at Oklahoma now.
Yeah, I think at this point it's maybe more notable when someone isn't a transfer, but
yeah, pretty much.
Ewers has a higher ceiling, so I hear what you're saying there about him potentially being ahead, but to me, Gabriel's was an easy choice to put number 1 just because he is proven really good. Like, he put up great numbers at UCF for 2 straight years, and then was having a good start to his third year under a different coach, Gus Malzahn, before he got hurt. Now he's reuniting with his former offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby, so I don't worry about, a transition of the offense. Like, he knows what he's doing here. I think he should have a big year.
Yeah, I can see that.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
All right, well, let's show the full list for our YouTube viewers. Trey, what do you think?
For you, I bet the Big 12 was hard to rank. You kind of mentioned that 8 through 3-ish range or whatever, but yeah. I just like every guy is either new to the situation or a transfer, so there's really not much to go on within the conference. And then if I want to point out one guy on this list, I'm a fan of Max Duggan. I'm not saying he should be number one or anything. He just doesn't get a whole lot of respect nationally. You touched on how he's improved. He's also a really big threat running. He's tough as hell, fighting through injuries, it seems like, every year. So I'm a Duggan fan.
Trey, we're going to get demonetized with that. I can't believe you just said that.
Can't cuss.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But I do feel better about my Duggan rating now. Thank you. Ranking.
Yeah, there you go. I think one of my biggest disagreement would probably be having Donovan Smith at 5. I think I would need to see a little bit more from him over a consistent, season, especially with the new stuff coming out. I mean, love what Kitley's done in his career as a coach so far, but 5th best, right in the middle of the pack there. It seems a little strong to me. I'd drop him probably 8th or so, but I mean, overall, I think the list is solid. It's not like you are kind of splitting hairs, but I'd have him a little lower.
All right, fair enough. What struck me about the list was just, I said at the beginning of the episode, there's no bad situation here. I think all of these guys could be pretty good.
That's why you feel bad putting Dekkers at 10, because Campbell has had a good track record with multiple different quarterbacks. Yeah. It's just, somebody's got to be 10, and Iowa State might not have the best supporting cast this year.
Right. All right, well, let us know what you think in the comments. Give the video a thumbs up as well. We're trying to grow the show, especially this week with all our quarterback rankings episodes. But that'll do it for this episode. We will be back tomorrow, and Trey is going to rank the Big Ten. We'll see you then.
You've been watching the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and in your podcast app for college football content all year round. For bonus episodes and access to our Discord chat, join our Patreon at patreon.com/collegefootballbros. Thanks for watching.